So we've covered the Phanteks Evolv case before and quite liked it. But when they announced an ITX version that was quite large for an ITX case, we were a little skeptical because, one of the major benefits of going to an ITX motherboard, you lose all that expansion, is that you get a smaller system out of the deal. But I keep telling myself it's not just the size that matters, so let's see how this goes. Now, at first glance, it looks nearly identical to its bigger brother, but dig a little deeper and you start to see the differences. The buttons are no longer awkwardly on the right side, but more conveniently on the front now. The power button is on top, while the USB 3 ports, headphone and microphone jack, and reset button are now in front. The front panel easily comes off to reveal the fan filter, and Anthony especially likes how the LED power indicator isn't wired to the panel itself, something that can be a real bear if you ever want to take that panel off and mod it and you gotta rip all those wires out of there and then you gotta feed them all back to the stupid thing. The ITX version is nearly half the price of the bigger brother, but funnily enough, even a cheap Phanteks case seems to be better constructed than many high-end cases from other manufacturers. It's very strong and constructed from steel, but the front panel is now plastic. With that said, the biggest disappointment we found were the side doors. They no longer sit on a hinge. They use the old, boring-style clip along the top and bottom system. On the left, you'll find a large window designed to show off all the pretty parts inside. And after opening it, you'll notice the giant 200mm fan up front that's included. This is a very welcome sight since the small size of the ITX platform leads to potentially concentrated heat buildup, so having air moving over the entirety of the inside of the case effectively means that's very unlikely to happen. If you remove that, it'll reveal mounts for a 240mm radiator in front, and the top of the case actually not removable, although there is a drop-in panel for your fans and radiator. It's a neat idea, and it makes mounting fans very simple. Anthony likes it, but didn't like how finicky the rails are. It's a very tight fit, and it can warp and get stuck if you're not careful. And he did note that it makes radiators a bit of a pain in the butt. If you're mounting a closed-loop cooler like an H100i, you now have to slowly lower the radiator in while simultaneously mounting the CPU block. You can't mount the CPU block first, then slide the panel in. There's just not enough slack in your tubes for that, unless you go with, I'm just trying to think what one of the ones, Swifteks is it has long tubes, but it's just, well, probably also wouldn't work. Enough about water cooling, though. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or actually the heatsink in the case. Yes, that is a Noctua NHD15 inside an ITX case. It easily fits one of the largest CPU coolers on the market today. There's even an inch of room above and behind it as well, in case you need more fans. For those familiar with MSI's twin Frozer video cards, you'll know that they can be a little taller than most graphics cards out there. Again, not a problem. In fact, Anthony was even able to cram the Asus Aries into this case, and there was enough room for the modular bracket, which gives you a choice of an SSD, a hard drive, a pump, or even a reservoir mount. It's also great at covering up wires. Speaking of wires, this is one of the easiest cases to cable manage, although that is something we've seen in the past with larger ITX cases. They tend to have a little bit more room in them for cables. Duh. On the back, there's over an inch of space behind the motherboard, and if you move forward a little, it opens up to around 2 inches at the front. Underneath, there's a modular set of hard drive rails that can be removed if you need space for a longer power supply, or if you want to hide your pump down there as well. So Anthony managed to cram a 225mm long Corsair AX1500i in there with tons of room to spare. Just be careful that your wires don't run into the front fan unless you want to pick up like a 200mm fan grill or something along those lines, kind of like what Corsair did with their 250D. Now, as with all cases, it's time to see how air flows through it. Unsurprisingly, it's got amazing airflow. Most of the air intakes and exhausts are indirect, meaning they are either covered up or curved around an edge. So to take full advantage of this case, you'll want to use high static pressure fans in order to suck that hot air in and push the hot air out. With weaker fans, you might experience some backdraft where the case sucks back in the hot air it just exhausted. Now, even though this is a pretty big ITX case, it's still smaller than something like a BitPhoenix Prodigy. In fact, Anthony figures, wow, this is a strong statement, this is the smartest ITX case he's built in yet, and it's easy to see why. The most impressive thing about it is accessibility. Every area is accessible with both of your hands in spite of the non-removable top, so you can easily hold on to a component as well as mount or remove it. With some cases, it doesn't matter if you can get your hand inside if you can't reach the screw, so I guess you could say it's pretty fantastic. Awful. Thanks for watching, and let us know in the comments below if you'd pick this case for your ITX system or if you'd prefer something a little smaller, say for example the new Silverstone SG13, whose cable management, but size is, I think, actually like less than half of this. And as usual, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos from NCIX.